Yeah, I'm so glad we're doing this because I feel like, again, this topic isn't touched on enough. But do you feel like you must meet the person before he meets your son?
I was wondering that.
9 times out of 10, I would say yeah, but there's a part of me that feels like, as long as he's cool, I want to know what he looks like. I want to know if the guy, like, from my judgment. But the maddest thing is, even if I'm gonna feel like I don't trust this guy.
What size feet he has?
Yeah, his feet are too big. His trim is off. I don't trust him around my child. But that would be just me.
Man's wearing a United top.
Yeah, 100%. I'll walk through the door, United top. I'll slide tackle him, 100%. Why are you wearing a Man United top, bro? But on a serious note, like, you don't necessarily have to, but I feel like it just makes things, the transition and just the continuation of communication and everything else that involves your child, it makes it a little bit more easier because it's honest and open. There's still trust there, I feel. If you do it that way, you don't necessarily have to do it that way, but for me personally, I feel like it will work. There's still a sense of, like, what?
So to answer the question, you would prefer,
You'd
be prepared to be introduced. That's your preference, although you can understand why that might not be the case. But for you and for your expectations, that's what you would prefer.
Just it doesn't even have to be a formal meeting. It could just be, by the way, my man, the man that I'm seeing is here. Like,
Come in and say hello.
Come and say hello instead of dropping my son.
Or Zoom, Microsoft Teams.
You know what I mean?
Allow it.
Instead of Zoom,
a FaceTime to
webinar.
It just be like, and the thing is, because I'm so sure, I'm just sure in myself. I'm not really bothered. Again, she does her thing for our son, but if that was the case, it wouldn't be a thing for me. I don't necessarily have to meet him. I'll be honest. Is he cool? Yeah, calm. Does Rome love him? Does Rome think he's a cool guy? Cool. My only thing is, don't spoil him. That's just one thing I've always wanted. I don't want my son to be spoiled. I want him to have true, like, proper values, have a greater moral compass and all the rest of it. But if he's a baller, like, let him pay what he likes, but don't go and buy him a mansion at 8 years old. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things like
that's
that.
stupid,
But for me,
I don't necessarily have to meet him. I'll be honest. You don't have to meet the guy.
This is why, for me, having 2 different co-parenting relationships, I get both ends of the spectrum. So with Tyler, with my youngest mum, I met the guy that turned into his stepdad. We're cool. My eldest, I go to drop him off one day at his grandma's. Like, he's probably gonna listen to this one day, or maybe even now anyway, because he's old enough. But and he'll remember it anyway. So we're in the car, and I look into the kitchen and I see a guy in there. Yeah, and I'm like, "Who's that?" And Amari says to me, "I don't know." Like, because they were staying at grandma's at the time, yeah. So he goes in there, I drop him off, keep it moving. Next time I get him, he's like, "Oh yeah, remember that guy? Yeah, that's Mum's boyfriend." I was like, "Okay, what? Man's just in the grandma's yard, like that."
Oh,
like, okay. Drop him off again. I look in the kitchen, I see man there, top off. Yeah, so I'm like,
he's hencher than you, innit?
Nah.
This does not do
No racism, white guy, ginger hair. I was not expecting it. Yeah, I was not expecting that look at all. Yeah, I was like, rare. Like, I didn't even know that was your type, innit? Like, but so I'm like, okay. That man was around bare. Then he moved into grandma's. This guy moved into grandma's, and I wasn't being introduced. I reached out to her. I said, look, my son said, this is your partner. Okay, cool. But like, if it is, I want some information. Nothing. Like, she don't we communicate pretty much via text. Like, pretty much via text. We may talk if it's necessary, but it's pretty much via text. They then move from grandma's, get their own place. This man's living with my child now. Yeah, never met him.
You don't know nothing about him?
I still had not met him. All I knew was his name. Yeah? Still had not met him. I go to collect my son. He's of an age where I will call, he'll come out in the car. And I kept saying, look, I want to meet this man, It wasn't for beef reasons. It wasn't, although I'm getting more worked up, it was like, you know what? I want to meet this man, but she's acting like that. My son's cool, keep it moving. Then there was one time, he pulls up when I pull up. I jump out the car, run over to him, put my hand out. I'm like, Aaron, yeah? And he's like, oh, like, nice to meet you. Like, man was a bit nervous, innit? Like, I'd done press ups that day as well.
Yeah.
So man had the medium shirt on.
Bursting out of his top.
But it was like, I was like, oh yeah, I've been wanting to meet you for a while. Kept it moving. Like, that was my introduction to him. Like, I think I've spoke to him once since then. But it was like, I had a person living with my son. Never got introduced to him. But I had to, because of everything I've been through, I had to realize, you know what, I can't do nothing about that. Unless my son says to me, this man is doing wrong, I'm not going to kick up fuss. Because it's feeding something that you don't need to feed. It's feeding an energy.